area.com. Time to open up this discussion. Marty Lurie, Phil Taylor, of course, along with the former Giant Rich Aurelia. Rich, we're going to begin with you. Top of the ninth inning, and we don't see Matt Moore out there. It's Derek Law instead. Did that move surprise you?
It surprised me in a sense that this was Game 7. Last night was Game 7 for the Giants. I mean, you have to win these games. And with the dominant performance that was going on by Matt Moore, especially in the 8th inning, he was as dominant as he was early in the game. I thought he would have gotten at least to go out to the 9th, and if one base runner got on, he would have been pulled out of the game. And, you know, we listened to Alex right there with Boach said that, you know, we had the bullpen, they were rested. I don't think the bullpen was rested. You played 13 innings last night, and Madison only went 5 innings. I mean, George Contos got up 5 times last night. Romo pitched 2 innings. Block pitched 2 innings. Strickland pitched an inning. You know, I mean, all these guys pitched last night. So, and at this time of year, nobody's really fresh. But to me, it was a surprise in the sense that Moore was so dominant in that 8th inning that I thought he would have gotten a chance to go out in the 9th, because I'll say this, if it was Madison Bumgarner, I think they would have let him go out for the 9th. But
I agree with you there. You know, we keep hearing that word, pitch count, pitch count, pitch count. I won't ever forget a conversation I had with Ken Griffey Sr., and he said, back in the day, there wasn't a pitch count. The skipper looked at you, and if it looked like you could go back out there, you went back out there. Were you surprised by the move, Marty?
Well, not really, because that's the way baseball is played today. I mean, you have a 5-2 lead. It's the 9th inning. You have a bullpen that's ready to go, and you bring them in, and you feel you can hold a 3-run lead. Now, the other side, as Richie said, it's a Game 7, it's a Game 5 of the series, and Matt Moore was dealing. There was no problem with him. You have to win this game. So why not leave the guy in who's doing so well, 8 innings, 2 hits, and 10 strikeouts? Why ask for trouble? So from that standpoint, I'd say leave him in.
Right. I mean, it's very easy to, you know, in hindsight, to pick at the move. But when you think about it, one of the things that made Bochy so good in the Giants' previous World Series runs was that he didn't always stick with the book. He didn't always go by the book. Sometimes when he had a good bullpen, he went to his relievers earlier than other managers would. He realized that in the playoffs it's a different game strategically, and you got to grab the moment. And in this situation, really grabbing the moment would have been saying to Matt Moore, you know, we need another inning out of you, or we at least want to see if we can get one. Considering what we've seen from our bullpen, as Richie said, the night before, you know, they had really taxed their bullpen. It seemed to make all the sense in the world to kind of throw out the book and let Matt Moore throw 140 pitches if that's what it took. And it is surprising to me that Bochy didn't make that move.
What about the order of the pitchers coming out of the bullpen? Anyone have an issue with that tonight?
Yeah, well, for me, I mean, I don't mind having Law start the inning, but let him pitch. Give him the inning. This whole thing with one batter, you're out, one batter, you're out, I think this was the undoing of the second half, the matchups.
Yeah, and I think looking at tonight as an example, I mean, Law's been throwing the ball great. You know, gave him one hitter, got a base hit, and then they brought in Lopez to face Rizzo. And, you know, that's a good move right there. But what I didn't understand was a 3-2 breaking ball to Rizzo, where he walked and he had a 3-run lead. Hits a home run, you're still up. Then you bring in Romo, who, and I don't know the numbers exactly, but I think that Zobrist has really bad numbers against Lopez. But you switch Zobrist around, you put him in a left-handed batter's box against a guy who's had trouble in Romo getting left-handers out. And you also take the double play a little bit out of order, because you put Zobrist a little closer to first base, going from the right-handed batter's box to the left-handed batter's box. Gives up the double. You know, now you got a 2-run lead with, you know, second and third and nobody out, and then you make another move. So I don't have a problem with the order, but maybe the decision to flip Zobrist around, maybe the one thing that I would have maybe done differently.
I like Law, Phil. I mean, I like Law being in there. I'll just say it, because you have a 3-run lead. You put a guy on, the next guy hits a home run. Okay, now you start making moves. Why do you have to start bringing people in when there's no trouble yet? And I think that's my point.
Yeah, and the thing that all of this comes from not having relievers in the pen that you can trust. It all comes from, you know, Bochy have feeling like I have to check matchups, I have to see how guys, you know, their splits against different guys, and not having a guy in there who you can say, righty or lefty, you're my guy. And he's had that in previous years. And so when you have to make those sorts of moves, when you have to constantly be playing the matchup game, sooner or later you're probably going to miss one or miss a few, as happened tonight.
And we all know this, being baseball people. I mean, Bruce Bochy made his name as a manager, whether he had good teams or bad teams, handling a bullpen, whether he had Trevor Hoffman closing or some no-name closer. I just think what happened this year was at no point in that second half did one guy really kind of step up and say, I'm your guy to go to. And I think that's what leads to all the one-batter moves and going with the matchups and going with the numbers, which he didn't really have a guy, I feel, that he thought he could trust on a day in, day out basis.
I also think it's that mental aspect. When you look at Romo, he was the third guy to get yanked. Anyone else coming in after him saying, wow, Boch has a quick hook tonight. I better be on top of it. Otherwise, I'm getting pulled real quickly. I mean, there was a lot of pressure on those relievers stepping in. Hunter Strickland, Will Smith.
Absolutely.
No one found their groove.
And they were, and listen, they were all guys that really threw the ball extremely well last night, with the exception of Romo giving up that home run. So, you know, sometimes in short series like this, you try and catch that lightning in a bottle, and whatever worked last night just didn't work tonight. And it's just painful that it was the last game of the season.
And plus it was the Cubs. They went toe-to-toe with the Cubs. This game was in the bag. You should win this game. They should be getting on a plane tomorrow, going back to Wrigley. The Cubs should be nervous. Cueto against Lester, and that's the way this thing should have ended.
Oh, man.
This was a very unfortunate ending because the Giants really toe-to-toe with the Cubs, and I think outplayed them here, really. And they let it get away in the ninth inning, and that's the toughest part.
Right, and it would have been fascinating to see that Game 5, to see that, you know, the tightness of the whole city of Chicago, and you might have seen Madison Bumgarner, you know, looming, coming in relief, perhaps. All those things could have happened. But the thing about it was that even though the Giants played them toe-to-toe, you know, and they played them toe-to-toe really during the regular season as well, the Cubs almost always won those games, and there's a reason that a team wins those close games repeatedly. And here, it's pretty obvious that the Giants didn't have the bullpen to hang, and there were some other things, but just in terms of the bullpen, that's what separated these two teams.
Rich was at the game. I watched it on TV, and there were several shots of the Cubs players' faces. They may have been acting like they were cool, calm, and collected once the game was over, but you could see the morale of that team. They were losing it. They felt like this is getting out of our control right now, and the Giants were taking over. Unfortunately, Giants couldn't pull it off. All right, don't go anywhere, because coming up after the break, are you convinced the better team won this series? It's next on Sports Talk Live. We'll ask